Good afternoon, class. So, before we begin our class, we will have a word of prayer. We pray, dear Lord, thank you for this class. So, we are going to begin our class. May you give us a deep understanding through Christ, I pray. Amen. So, we'll have a recap of our previous class. We learned about the background to the call of Abraham. And we learned that he was living in Ur of the Chaldeans, and in that place people worshipped many gods. So we also learn that Abraham was called Abram, and he was the son of Terah, and he had two brothers. From Ur they later moved to Haran, where he received his call. So in our class today we will learn about the call of Abraham. So, have you ever been asked to move to a new place without knowing what to expect? Have you? So the call of Abraham, it refers to God's command for him to leave his homeland and go to a land that God would show him. So the call of Abraham is found in the book of Genesis chapter 12 verse 1 to 9. So we will read it. It talks about God told Abraham to leave his home and go to a land God will show him. So when he was living in Ur, it's where he received his call. So after God called him, he promised him many things, including he will be a great nation. That means that his descendants will become many or numerous. Another blessing will be it will be a blessing to people. It means he himself will be a blessing. Another blessing is he will have a great name. That means Abraham will be honored among people. Another blessing is he will be a blessing to others. It means through him all nations of the world would be blessed. He also received another promise, which is the promised land. The promised land is the land of Canaan. God promised that he will give him the land to his descendants. So he obeyed the call of God without question. It shows that he had faith in God. So the meaning of faith is obeying without questioning. So he left his familiar surroundings to follow God's direction. So when he was called, he did not know where he was going, so he just followed God. For example, in a scenario where you've been told to leave your homeland and you go where you do not know, so he obeyed without question. That showed that he had a great faith in God. He traveled with his wife Sarah and nephew Lot to Canaan. So after arriving, God promised to give the land to his descendants. So after all that promises, Abraham built altars and worshipped God there in the land after they arrived. So what are the lessons that you can learn from Abraham? We learn first the faith in God. He trusted God's promises even though he did not know where God was telling him to go. He just left. that shows he had faith in God. Another one is obedience. This means he followed God's instructions without hesitation. When God told him just pick your things and left, he just followed. That shows he had obedience. So we can learn obedience from Abraham after he trusted God and followed instructions that he was given. Another lesson we can learn is patience. He waited for God's promises to be fulfilled. As I told you earlier, after he was told to left Ur, God promised him many things. For example, to bless him, to make him a great nation, to bless all nations through him, to make his name great. Yeah, he had patience while he was waiting for all those promises to be delivered. Another thing is God's faithfulness. Through the story of Abraham, we learn that God keeps his promises. God delivered the promises that he promised him. So from that scenario, we learn that when we trust in God and we obey his instructions, he will be faithful to whatever he has promised us. So the key things to learn from this scenario is the obedience and faith to God, and also the God's faithfulness. So how can we show faith and obedience in our lives? So you take a look at our life. Some scenarios need us to show faith and obedience. For example, when someone is very sick, you pray to God. You need patience like Abraham, so that God may heal that person. And maybe you have to go on a mission, you do not know where you are going. It needs you to have faith in God, obey his call, and be patient despite the circumstances you may encounter. You have to trust God's guidance just as Abraham did. So from this lesson, we learn many things that we can apply in our day-to-day life. So we can just take a look at that story from Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 to 9. In your own free time, you can take a look at that. So during this time, I'll just give you a short quiz. You will answer within the remaining few time. Question number 1: who was Abraham? Number 2: what did God tell Abraham to do? Number 3: mention 2 lessons Christians learn from Abraham. In the last question: what are the promises that God gave to Abraham? So you answer it quickly, then we answer it as a class. So within some 2 minutes, you answer those questions, then we will answer them as a class. Okay, I see most of you are getting it right. The first question was, who was Abraham? And we said Abraham was the son of Terah, and was the husband to Sarah, and he had 2 brothers. Okay, question number 2: what did God tell Abraham to do? God told Abraham to leave his homeland, that was Ur, and go to an unknown land which later discovered was Canaan. So what were some of the promises God gave to him? And we said the first one was he will be a great nation. That meant that his descendants will become numerous. Another promise was he will be a blessing, and it meant Abraham himself will be blessed. And another promise, a great name, Abraham will be honored among people. And another blessing to others, it meant through Abraham all nations of the world would be blessed. And the last one was the promised land, that is the land of Canaan, that will be given to his descendants. And the last question was, mention 2 lessons you can learn from Abraham. And we said you can learn faith and obedience and patience. By faith we mean you obey whatever you're told by God without questioning. And just like Abraham, he left his familiar surroundings. That was the land of Ur. Even though in that place many people did not worship God, they had idols. He himself, he had faith in God. He was worshiping God. So God chose him because he had faith, and he also obeyed. That means he left everything behind. He did not carry anything. He just left with his belongings, with his wife and the nephew, who was Lot. So we also learn to have patience. That means you wait. You learn to wait, the art of waiting. So in your day-to-day life, you need to practice those key qualities, key practices, so that you might, you just be the best. You just be good. So we will meet in our next class. Just remember the key points we've learned in this lesson. Thank you. Bye.